Hello and welcome to India Narrative. Today we have with us Mr. D.P. Singh, Chairman of the Delhi-based Sara Group. Welcome, sir. Pleasure having you here. We'll have a chat with Mr. Singh just to understand what are the problems that the businesses are facing today. We have had a coronavirus pandemic which has impacted the economy. Sir, if we could just straight come to you, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced a rupees 20 lakh crore package to boost and revive the economy. How much has come into the system? How effective has been the package so far?
You see, the package had various elements
Yes.
of disbursement. But the main element was 3 lakh crores to MSME, which were to be given money upfront, either as loan or as grant or as remittance of various facilities that they have. The actual money that has come in will be in the range of about 120,000 crores only.
So you spoke about the MSME sector. MSME sector is one of the critical sectors. PM Modi has been emphasizing a lot on this sector. I mean, it's important to revive this sector. It's one of the largest generators of jobs. Now, what exactly do you think, what are the immediate steps required by the government to ensure that growth is revived in this sector?
Let's understand the importance of MSME today. It's 55% of India's GDP.
Yes.
It's 90% of our employment. So unless you revive and bring it to a level before the COVID, you can well understand that we are going nowhere. Now, there are three things that has happened to this industry. One, a loss of confidence. People have been hurt. They are shying away from investment. They are not wanting to put in money. That's number one. Number two, the bank's support to this industry, to this part of the industry, is too little, too late. Third, which is most important, is unless the main industry approves or goes up, nothing will happen to MSME.
There is a big issue about demand, not just in the domestic market but also globally. So, how do you think the demand issue can be addressed?
You see, let's on demand issue, there is no two ways of what you're saying in terms of our GDP degrowth. It's going to be between 12.5% to 16.5%. Probably later today we will get these figures.
That is contraction.
Contraction, degrowth. So if there is a degrowth, obviously there is a lack of demand.
Yeah.
It's straight. So I agree with you that in this word of degrowth, when the demand comes down, it's difficult for anyone to survive, leave aside MSMEs.
And what would be the ways? Income tax reduction?
I don't think income tax reduction, you see, we are talking about a very small percentile of people. In India, we know that our income tax pays are 1% of our economy, so which is nothing. We need to find ways and means to reach people who need them.
So maybe one way could be indirect taxation cuts, that is GST.
You know, indirect giving money takes time for its effects to come. We need immediate. Like in US, everybody gets $1,200 today. And we need to not only give it to the poor, but also to the middle class.
Okay.
Because the middle class are shying away from purchasing, from spending. So unless there is, and I do believe that these major infrastructures can wait. The road and railways can wait.
A huge shortfall in GST collections, and that's why they are fighting with each other also, center and states. What possibly could be the way out? I mean, have you given a thought?
You see, firstly, we do not have to take this phobia of deficit financing. We are talking about deficit financing of 3.5%. If we even take it to 7 or 8% for a year or two, nothing is going to happen. We have enough goods in the market. I do believe that inflation, what are the worst things we talk about deficit financing? We talk about it will create inflation.
Yeah.
But when the goods are there, the demand picks up, the goods are there, there is no inflation. You only talk about inflation when there's a lack of goods and more of demand.
Okay.
Today you have goods, you are only producing at 60-65% of your production capacity, which you can raise it to 100. But
Okay.
the circle has to improve.
What could be the other measures that the government should adopt
You see,
to
one
generate employment
Yeah.
specifically?
You see, employment is an effect.
Effect.
The cause is the industry.
Okay.
If you produce or if you industrialize, if you make more production, you obviously have more employment.
Obviously.
Right? So employment is then effect of the production.
So what you are saying is that this maybe by deficit financing.
No, I have another suggestion.
Yeah.
You see, today all of us are talking about liquidity. There is more than enough liquidity in the market.
Yeah.
The banks today are keeping their money in the reverse repo. That means they get the money
Yeah.
and they give it back to RBI to rest there because so it doesn't come in the economy. The banks, the government needs to tell the banks that you need to lend. The banks are scared to lend because they are fearing the NPAs. So the government needs to tell a banker for the next 3 years, we won't take you to CBI, CVC,
Okay.
SFIU
More
and others.
autonomy to banks, especially public
Not only
sector banks.
autonomy, you need to tell them we will not take you there. The second thing today, the banks are charging 12 to 14% of interest rate,
Yeah.
right? Now, I'll give you a small thing. The repo rate is around 4.5%, 5%.
Yeah.
3% is the bank's own administrative cost, that's 8%. Why should not be banking be lending at 10%? They can still make 1 or 2%. 13% interest rate, who's going to grow at this time? So government needs to put some kind of confidence in the bankers.
Thank you so much for your suggestions. We hope things improve at the earliest. Thank you, sir. Do subscribe to indianarrative.com. Thank you.